Good day! I will be discussing social system theory, complex, interactive, dynamic, structural, and operational. Before we discuss the social system model, let me first discuss what do you mean by social. We say social, this is concerning the organization between people and community, the way it is organized. Then, the system. It is the way of working, organizing, or doing something which follow a fixed plan or set of rules. You can use system to refer to an organization or institution that is organized in this way. Then social plus system will give us social system. The pattern series of interrelationships existing between individuals, groups, and institutions and forming a coherent whole that is social structure. The formal organization of status and role that may develop among the members of a relatively small stable group, such as a family or a club. Social systems are created by human beings and are strengthened by a man's attitude, belief, habit, and expectation. Patterned network of relationship constitution a coherent whole that exists between individuals, groups, or institutions. Here, people in different groups may depend in various share of properties such as location, socioeconomic status, race, religion, or other societal function that other distinguishable creatures. Social system of a school with its characteristic institutional functions, roles and expectations, goal behaviors, is achieved through the integration various institutions. Social system theory has been a sound perspective to explain the working of school. Social system is an orderly arrangement. Every part has a fixed place and definite role to play. A system signifies thus pattern constituent part of structure which is based functional relationship which make this part active. School is open or as open system interplay of influence of the society, community, politics, history, administrator, teacher, and students. A bureaucratic organization with many levels to undertake like pyramid model. It has different expectation and rules coded to supervise and to understand school as a learning organization, effective plan which is innovative and dynamic. We have here the importance of social system model. The school is one of the formal agencies of socialization. It has acquired importance because of its sociological changes and influences. The school is a formal agency of education, imparts that maximum knowledge of the subjects required for necessary living of a useful and successful life. Key elements of the school as a social system. First, we have the structure. Rules are expectation of positions that are arranged in hierarchy, structure is considered as teacher condition that influences among learners and curriculum study. Individual as a key unit in any system or social system. Regardless of position, people bring with them individual needs, beliefs, or a cognitive understanding of a job. All individuals and educators found in school came from society. It is very natural that their thinking should be influenced by life in school. Culture, represented by unwritten feelings, part of the organizations, its shared values. School cultures referred to teacher and staff members were together and the set of their belief, values, and assumption they shared. We also have the politics. This is the informal power relation that develops spontaneously. Informal power refers to leave or direct without any proper or division leadership title. Meaning, in school, we all have the power to involve in any organization to work in unity. And the next one is the technical core, teaching and learning. The teaching learning process is the technical core of a school. It is the main or art of education. We also have here the environment where everything outside the organization, source of input that can help improve and work properly. School as a social system. Here, I'm going to show you graphical representation of a social system in a school. The input are the environmental constraints, the human capital resources, mission, the materials and methods, and the equipment. The transformation process is under a structural system. This goes in cycle. We have the politics system, the individual system, that is discrepancy between actual and expected performance, the cultural, and now we go to transformation process again, and we go back. And the core of this is the teaching learning or the learning teaching. And the output is the achievement, the job satisfaction, maybe the absenteeism, the dropout rate, and the overall quality. Another conceptual representation of a school as a social system is this one. According to Hoy and Miskel of 2013, input criteria comprises of labors, students, and money from the environment and other associated aspects such as human, material, financial, or information resources. Transformational process denotes effective internal processes within the transformation process. In education, it refers to the organization and content of the curriculum, health of the interpersonal climate, motivation level of students and teachers, teacher and administrator leadership, quality and quantity of instruction, coordination and vision, learning time, school and classroom, shared efficacy and academic optimism. Screen share or model of school effectiveness. The transformational process in open system theory comprises of 9 dimensions which are effective leadership, effective teaching, considering on learning, generating a positive school culture, considering on high expectations of all, the student task, monitoring progress across level, increasing the skill of the staff as well as school-home school relationship. Key element here, oh, I'm sorry, we have here the output, which are the product of the organization. For example, the educated student. We also have the feedback, the communication that monitors behavior. Under feedback, we have internal. That is the relative level of goal achievement served as an educator of the need to adjust one or more of the elements of the transformation process. And the external, different constituencies in the community evaluates the school product. It is what you see from outside. The next is the school community. This refers to the various individuals, groups, businesses, and institutions that are invested in the welfare and vitality of a public school and its community. Example is the neighborhood and municipalities served by the schools. In this case, educators may also be actively working to improve the culture of the school, to strengthen relationship between teachers and students, and fosters feelings of inclusion, caring, shared purpose, and collective investment. School community, also municipality, recognize the social and emotional attachment, commonly members that have been a school. So we have here, first is the family. They are the parents and sometimes the relative of the learners. Next is the experiential. Those who are elected school or people who volunteer time and services. Next, we have the alumni or the alumni. They are the former learners who graduated from the school. And of course, the socio-economic. They are the taxpayers in the local businesses. A school community is a group of people involved with the school who have common values and standards for education of the students who attend the school. They are bottom-level self-managing, top-level self-managing, media-core level self-managing, and the poor-level self-managing school. A school environment is broadly characterized by its facilities, classrooms, school-based health support, and disciplinary policy and practices. Community engagement is a dynamic relational process that facilitates communication, interaction, involvement, and exchange between an organization and a community for a range of social and organizational outcomes. As a concept, engagement feature attribute of connection, interaction, participation, and involvement designed to achieve or elicit an outcome of individual, organization, or social levels. Current research acknowledges engagement socially situated nature. Community engagement, therefore, offers an ethical, reflexive, and socially responsive approach to community organizational relationship with engagement practices that aim to both understand and be responsive to community needs, views, and expectations. Now, what is a learning community? A learning community is a group of people who share common academic goals and attitudes and meet semi-regularly to collaborate on classwork. Such communities have become the template for a cohort-based interdisciplinary approach to higher education. A strong learning community sets an ambience for life-giving and uplifting experiences necessary to advance an individual and the whole society. That is from Lenin and Ebers, 1999. Thus, the learning community has been called a key feature of 21st century school and, of course, a powerful educational practice. Next is a representation of social system of learning community. These are access. When we say access, who is present? The relationship, who feels connected and acquainted or accepted. The vision, who shares the same vision or purpose. And the function, who has been organized to achieve some goals. The next discussion is about values theory. When we say values theory, let's discuss the impact of values on behavior in the role in values theory. Value, as with many terms in philosophy, the phrase value theory can mean a variety of things. It can mean one of the 4 or 5 largest fields of philosophy, but it can also mean the study of which a thing have value, or it can mean the study of which a thing have value. That and what kind of thing value is in comparison with other ethical categories. Axiology. In the most restrictive but classical sense, value theory can refer to something also known as axiology. Axiology is the study of which objects conceive of both in terms of physical object but also psychological state or state of the world are good and to what degree they are good. Axiology is often closely associated with a type of consequentialism, which assess the goodness of particular acts based on their consequences in the world. In order to determine if an act has good consequences, we need to determine which state of the world are good. Somewhere in between these two definitions can be found an area of study also known as the theory of value. The theory of value includes the study of axiology as well as meta-questions about what value is and the connections between value and other concepts in ethics. This is something of a different way to parse the distinctions in ethical theory between meta-ethics and normative ethics but can offer insight to the connection between these two areas of study. In the broadest sense, and perhaps the most common, the phrase value theory applies to the large area of philosophy that includes ethics, meta-ethics, applied ethics, but also aesthetics, political philosophy, social philosophy, and sometimes even feminist philosophy. These areas of philosophy are all tied together by processing a normative or evaluative aspect, simply put, how things should or should not be. When we think of our values, we think of what is important to us in life. Each of us hold numerous values. Example is the achievement, security, benevolence, with varying degrees of importance. A particular value may be very important to one person but unimportant to another. The value theory adopts a conception of value that has specific or 6 main features that is implicit in the writing of these theories. First one is values that belief link inextricably to affect. When values are activated, they become infused with feelings. People whom independence is an important value become aroused if their independence is threatened. Despair when they are helpless to protect it, and are happy when they are enjoying it. Next is a value refer to the desirable goals that motivate action. People for whom social order, justice, and helpfulness are important value are motivated to pursue these goals. Values transcend specific action and situations. Obedience and honesty values, for example, may be relevant in the workplace or school, in business or politics, with friends or strangers. This feature distinguishes value from norms and attitudes that usually refer to specific actions, objects, or situations. Values serve as standards or criteria. Value guide the selection or evaluation of actions, politics or policy, people, and events. People decide what is good or bad, justified or illegitimate, worth doing or avoiding, based on possible consequences for their cherished values. But the fact of values in everyday decision is rarely conscious. Values enter awareness when the actions or judgment one is considering have conflicting implications for different values one cherishes. Values are ordered by importance relative to one another. People's values form an ordered system of priorities that characterize them as individuals. Do they attribute more importance to achievement or justice, to novelty or tradition? This hierarchical feature also distinguishes value from norms and the attitude. And the last one is the relative importance of multiple values guides action. Any attitude or behavior typically has implications for more than one value. For example, attending church might express and promote tradition and conformity value at the expense of hedonism and stimulation values. The trade-off among relevant, competing values guide attitudes and behavior. Values influence action when they are relevant in the context and important to the actor. I have here the structure of value relation, a conceptual structure of value relation. Okay. As you can see here, achievement, let's start in the self-enhancement. The power and the achievement, when combined, are the social superiority and esteem. The achievement and hedonism are the self-centered satisfaction. Hedonism and stimulation is a desire for affectively pleasant arousal. Stimulation and self-direction is intrinsic interest in novelty and mastery. The self-direction and the universalism is the reliance upon one's own judgment and comfort with the diversity of existence. The universalism and the benevolence are the enhancement of others and transcendence of self-interest. The benevolence and the tradition These are the devotion to one's in group, while the benevolence and conformity is the normative behavior that promote close relationship. The conformity and the tradition is the subordination of self in favor of socially imposed expectation. The tradition and security is the preserving existing social arrangement that gives certain to life. The conformity and the security, these are the protection of order and the harmony in relationship. And the last one, security and the power, avoiding and or overcoming threat by by controlling relationships. In sum, the circular arrangement of the values represents a motivational continuum. The closer any two values in either direction around the circle, the more similar their underlying motivation. The more distant, the more antagonistic their motivations. The idea that value from motivation continuum has a critical implication. Dividing the domain of value items into 10 distinct values is an arbitrary convenience. It is reasonable to partition the value item into more or less fine-tuned distinct values according to the needs and objectives of one analysis. Conceiving values as organized in a circular motivation structure has an important implication for a relation's value to other variables. It implies that the whole set of 10 values relates to any other variable, that is the behavior, attitude, age, etc., is an integrated manner. This figure shows that security and universalism value are boundary values. They primarily concern other interests, but their goals are regulate pursuit of own interests. Relations of value to anxiety are a third organizing principle. Pursuit of value on the left in figure 2 or in this picture serve to cope with anxiety due to uncertainty in the social and physical world. These are self-protective values. People seek to avoid conflict, conformity, and to maintain the current order, that is the tradition and security, or actively to control threat, that is the power. Value on the right, hedonism, stimulation, self-direction, universalism, benevolence, express anxiety-free motivations. These are growth to self-expansive value. Achievement value do both. Meeting social standards successfully may control anxiety, and it may affirm one sense of competence. Drawing on the grounding of values in interest and in anxiety can help in predicting and understanding relations of value to avoid attitudes and behavior. Okay, to conclude this, people everywhere experience conflict between pursuing openness to change value and conservation values. This also experience conflict between pursuing self-transcendence or self-enhancement value. Conflict between specific value, for example, the power versus the universalism, tradition versus hedonism, are also rare universal. So I therefore conclude, or I describe several dynamic processes that may account for the observed circular structure. These processes may point the way towards a unifying theory of human motivation. And before I end up, let me share you this from a recruiter journal. Values are like lighthouses. They are signals giving us direction, meaning, and purpose. That is all for today. Thank you very much for listening.